The north is cold and full of whispers.
The Tower of Joy stood alone in the red mountains of Dorne. Stone, sand, heat shimmering off rock, and inside, blood and roses. Ned Stark knelt beside his sister. Lyanna lay in a bed soaked red. Her skin was pale. Too pale, the smell of birth and death filled the small chamber. "Promise me, Ned." Her voice was a whisper. Failing. "Promise me." In her arms, wrapped in blood-stained linen, was a baby, tiny, dark-haired, crying. A girl. Ned looked at the child, at his sister, at the life leaving her eyes with every breath. "What?" His voice broke. "Lyanna, what have you done?" "I loved him." She smiled, weak, distant, already halfway gone. "Rhaegar, I loved him, Ned. And he loved me. We married, in secret, before the gods. This is our daughter." His daughter? His heir? Ned's chest tightened. Rhaegar Targaryen, the man Robert had killed on the Trident, the prince who'd started a war, who'd destroyed their family, who'd apparently married Lyanna, not kidnapped, not raped, married. Robert can never know. Lyanna's hand gripped his, desperately. "He'll kill her. You know he will. He'd kill any child of Rhaegar's, any dragon spawn. Especially hers. Especially." She coughed, blood on her lips. "Promise me you'll protect her, raise her, keep her safe. Promise me, Ned." "I promise." The words came automatically. The only words he could give his dying sister. "I'll protect her. I swear it." Lyanna smiled, relaxed. "Her name. I want her name to be." She never finished. The breath left her. The light went from her eyes. She was gone. Ned sat in silence, holding his sister's hand, listening to the baby cry. A Targaryen. Rhaegar's daughter. Lyanna's daughter. The legitimate heir to the Iron Throne if what Lyanna said was true. If they truly married. And Robert who'd killed Rhaegar, who'd started a war for Lyanna, who would never stop loving her, would murder this child without hesitation if he knew. Howland Reed entered the chamber. Small, quiet. The only other man who'd survived the fight outside. 7 men against 3 Kingsguard. Only 2 left standing. Lord Stark. Howland's eyes went to the baby, to Lyanna's body. "I'm sorry. Help me." Ned's voice was flat, empty. "I need to bring her north. Need a story, a cover. Something Robert will believe." "A bastard," Howland said quietly. "Your bastard. Fathered during the war. It's the only explanation that makes sense. The only story he won't question. He'll hate it. Hate me for dishonoring Catelyn. Better he hate you than kill the child." Howland moved closer. "I was at the tower. I know the truth, but I'll never speak it to anyone. You have my word." His niece, Lyanna's daughter, a girl who would grow up believing herself a bastard, hated by her supposed stepmother, denied her true name, her true heritage, everything, all to keep her alive. "I'll call her Lyra," Ned said. The name came to him. Simple, northern, safe. Lyra Snow. Ned rode north with his sister's bones and her daughter. First to Starfall, to return Arthur Dayne's sword, Dawn, to his family, to find a wet nurse, a woman named Wyla who agreed to feed the baby and keep silent about where she'd truly come from. Then north, across Dorne, through the Reach, into the Riverlands, toward Winterfell. The journey took months. The baby grew, developed. Her eyes opened, gray, stark gray, dark hair, the long face of the north. She looked like Lyanna, like Ned himself, like a Stark through and through. No one would see Targaryen in her. No one would suspect. That was the only mercy. Ned arrived at Winterfell in early 284 AC. Winter was ending. Spring coming. The castle was preparing for the new lady, Catelyn Tully, Ned's wife who would arrive in a few months with their son Robb. "Lord Stark." Maester Luwin met him in the courtyard. "Welcome home." And this, his eyes went to the baby, to Willa holding her. "This is?" "My daughter," Ned said. The lie tasted like ash. "Lyra Snow. She'll be raised here, at Winterfell. Prepare a room for her and the wet nurse." Luwin's face was carefully neutral. "Of course, my lord. Lady Catelyn, when she arrives, will be told the truth." That I fathered a bastard during the war. That the child is mine and will remain here. Ned's voice was hard, final. She'll accept it or she won't. But Lyra stays. Understood. Understood, my lord. The castle whispered. Of course it did. Lord Eddard Stark, Honorable Ned, returning from war with a bastard daughter, keeping her at Winterfell, installing her before his legitimate wife even arrived. Scandal, shame, proof that even the most honorable man could fall. Ned let them whisper, let them assume. It was safer than the truth. 6 months later, Catelyn arrived. She was beautiful. Red hair, blue eyes, Tully features, and in her arms, Robb, their son, 6 months old, healthy, strong. Ned met her in the courtyard. Formal, distant. They'd married during the war. One night together, then Ned had ridden south and Catelyn had gone to Riverrun to wait. Lord Stark. Her voice was controlled, proper. But her eyes saw everything. The castle, the people, the wet nurse standing near the entrance with a baby girl. Lady Catelyn, welcome to Winterfell. Ned gestured to the great hall. We should speak. Privately, waiting. There's something you need to know, Ned said. During the war, before we married, I fathered a child. A daughter. Her name is Lyra. She's here. At Winterfell. And she'll remain here, raised alongside our children. Catelyn's face went very still. You brought your bastard to Winterfell. Before your wife. Before your legitimate son. I did. Who is her mother? Lyra is mine. My blood. That's all you need to know. That's all Catelyn's control cracked slightly. Ned, I am your wife. I've given you a son. And you won't even tell me who this woman was? This woman you. No. Ned's voice was iron. I won't. Don't ask again, Cat. Please. Just accept that she exists. That she's mine, that she stays. Finally, Catelyn spoke. She's a girl, a female bastard. She poses no threat to Robb's inheritance. To any sons we have. I suppose I can tolerate her presence. But Ned, don't expect me to love her. Don't expect me to treat her as one of my own. She's your shame, not mine. I understand. Do you? Catelyn's eyes were hard. Do you understand what this looks like? What people will say? That Honorable Ned Stark dishonored his marriage before it even truly began? That he brought his bastard home and installed her like a trophy of his conquest? Let them say what they want. Ned turned away. She stays. That's final. Hurt. Ned stood alone in his solar and wondered if Lyanna would forgive him. For the lie. For the life he was condemning her daughter to. For everything. Probably not. But she'd be alive. That was what mattered. She'd be alive. The long peace years passed. Lyra Snow grew up at Winterfell. A bastard girl, Ned's acknowledged daughter, treated with cold courtesy by Lady Catelyn and warmth by everyone else. She had the Stark look, the long face, gray eyes so dark they were almost black, dark hair that curled when wet. She could have been Ned's twin as a child. Could have been Lyanna reborn. Ned saw it, saw his sister in every smile, every laugh, every moment of wildness when Lyra climbed walls or rode too fast or argued with Septa Mordain about proper lady behavior. She was like Arya would be. Fierce, stubborn, more comfortable in the training yard than the sewing room. But unlike Arya, who was a true-born daughter, Lyra faced no real pressure to conform. Bastards weren't expected to make good marriages, weren't expected to be proper ladies. The rules that constrained Sansa and later Arya barely touched Lyra. She trained with wooden swords, learned to ride, spent time in the Godswood, developed a connection with the old gods that made Ned's heart ache because it was so much like Lyanna's. And Catelyn kept her distance. Cold, formal, never cruel, never kind. Just absent. She focused on her true-born children, on Robb and Sansa and Arya and Bran and Rickon. Lyra existed on the periphery, acknowledged but not embraced. It could have been worse. In another timeline, with a son instead of a daughter, Catelyn's fear would have been sharper, more sustained, more dangerous. But a daughter posed no threat. Even if legitimized, Lyra would rank behind all true-born sons, behind Robb and Bran and Rickon. She was safe, politically irrelevant, or so everyone thought. The problems began when Lyra turned 13. She'd always resembled Ned, resembled the Stark line. But as adolescence sharpened her features, as her face lengthened and her eyes deepened and her bearing became more graceful, people began to notice something else. "She looks like the statues in the crypt," one servant whispered to another. "Like Lady Lyanna's statue, the old lord's daughter who died in the war." The whispers spread, slowly, carefully. No one said it to Ned's face, but the comparison was made. More and more often, Lyra Snow looked like Lyanna Stark. Catelyn heard the whispers, and for the first time since that initial confrontation 14 years ago, she felt fear. Not about inheritance, not about Rob's position, but about something else entirely. Robert Baratheon had never stopped loving Lyanna. The entire realm knew it. Robert had started a war for her, had killed Rhaegar for her, had named his rebellion after her, even though it was technically about the Mad King's crimes. And now there was a girl at Winterfell who looked like Lyanna, who carried Stark blood, who was the right age to be. Catelyn didn't finish the thought, but it sat in her chest like a stone. She approached Ned one evening, in his solar, after the children were asleep. "We need to talk about Lyra." "Wary. What about her?" "She's 14, old enough to be betrothed. I think we should arrange a match. Soon. Someone from a minor house. A second son. Someone who'll take her away from Winterfell." "Why?" Ned's voice was too careful, too controlled. "Because she's becoming a woman. Because people are starting to notice her, to comment on her appearance. And Ned, she looks like Lyanna. You must see it." Ned's hands clenched on his desk. So Robert is still king. Robert who loved Lyanna, who never recovered from losing her. If he ever comes north, if he ever sees Lyra. Catelyn stopped. "I don't know what would happen, but I know it would be dangerous. For her, for us, for everyone. Robert won't come north." But Ned's voice was hollow. "He hates the cold, hates traveling. He'll stay in King's Landing. You can't guarantee that. And even if he doesn't, what about when Lyra goes south? What about when she attends a tourney or a wedding or any event where the king might be present? She'll stay here, stay north, stay safe. For how long? Forever?" Catelyn moved closer. "Ned, I'm trying to protect her. And protect our family. If Robert becomes fixated on her because she reminds him of Lyanna, if he tries to bring her to court or anything, it will destroy everything we've built. You must see that. Finally, I'll think about it, about a match, someone suitable. But Cat, I won't force her into anything. Won't send her away just because she happens to look like my sister. She's more than looks. She has Lyanna's spirit, her wildness. People see it. Let them see it." Ned's voice was harder now. "Lyra stays at Winterfell, where I can protect her, where she's safe. That's final." Catelyn left, unsatisfied, afraid, because she knew Ned was hiding something. Had always known, the way he refused to discuss Lyra's mother, the way he protected the girl so fiercely despite the social cost, the way he'd brought her north alongside Lyanna's bones. Something was wrong, something deeper than a simple bastard story. And if Robert ever came north, if he ever saw what Catelyn saw when she looked at Lyra, Lyra knew she was different. Not just bastard different. Something else. Something she couldn't name. Father, Ned watched her with sad eyes, like he was carrying a weight. A secret. Something he couldn't share. Lady Catelyn avoided her. Kept distance. Not cruelty exactly. Just absence. Like Lyra was a ghost. Something to be tolerated but never acknowledged. And the other children, Rob treated her like a sister. Full stop. No caveats. He was her best friend, her partner in mischief. The person she trusted most. Sansa was distant, proper. She absorbed Catelyn's attitude, treated Lyra with formal courtesy and nothing more. Arya was her shadow, 5 years younger but fierce and loyal. They'd climb together, train together, get in trouble together. Arya didn't care about bastard status. Didn't care about anything except whether you were brave and true. Bran and Rickon were too young to understand. They just knew Lyra was part of the family, part of the pack. And then there were the dreams. They'd started when Lyra was 12. Strange dreams, vivid dreams, dreams of fire and dragons and a beautiful man with silver hair who sang to her while the world burned. She never told anyone. never mentioned them, because they felt important. Secret, like something she was supposed to keep hidden. Sometimes she'd wake up hot, too hot, like she'd been sleeping near a fire. But her room would be cold, winter cold, and she'd be sweating anyway. Other times she'd dream of wolves, of running through forests with a pack, of hunting, of blood and snow and the howling wind. Those dreams felt different, more real, like she was actually there, actually running, actually alive in ways she never was awake. She didn't understand any of it, but she knew, deep in her bones, that she was meant for something bigger than being Ned Stark's bastard daughter. Something that had nothing to do with Winterfell or the North or the quiet life she was living. She just didn't know what. In 297 AC, everything changed. A raven arrived from King's Landing. The message was brief, direct. Jon Arryn is dead. Robert rides north. Expect arrival within 2 months. Ned read the message 3 times. His hands shook. Robert, coming to Winterfell. After 15 years, coming north with his retinue and his wife and his children, and he would see Lyra, would see Lyanna's ghost walking, talking, alive. Ned called an emergency meeting. Just him and Catelyn and Maester Luwin. In his solar. Door barred. Robert is coming, Ned said without preamble. In 2 months, we need to make arrangements. For the king's visit, yes. Luwin nodded. The castle will need to be prepared. Rooms cleaned. Supplies gathered. A feast. For Lyra. Ned interrupted. We need to make arrangements for Lyra. Catelyn's face went pale. You're sending her away. I'm considering it. Howland Reed, he owes me. He'd take her. Keep her safe at Greywater Watch until Robert leaves. Greywater Watch. Catelyn's voice was sharp. Ned, that's the Cranogman? The swamps? You'd send her there? I'd send her somewhere Robert can't find her, can't see her, can't become fixated. He might ask about her. People know you have a bastard daughter. If she's suddenly gone when he arrives, with the Reeds or the Mormonts or anyone, Robert won't care. He barely remembers I exist most of the time. A bastard daughter won't interest him, unless someone mentions her resemblance to Lyanna. Catelyn's voice was quiet, certain. Unless someone in your household, some well-meaning servant, tells him that Ned Stark's bastard looks just like his dead sister. What then? Ned was silent. Luwin cleared his throat. My lord, if I may, perhaps the simplest solution is to keep Lady Lyra occupied elsewhere during the king's visit. Send her on an extended hunting trip, or to Bear Island on an errand. Something that keeps her away without making her absence suspicious. For how long? Catelyn demanded. How long will Robert stay? Days? Weeks? And what if he asks to see all of Ned's children? All of them, including the bastard. What then? Then we'll handle it. Ned's voice was final. We'll keep Lyra away. Keep her safe. Whatever it takes. You're that afraid of Robert seeing her? Yes. Ned met Catelyn's eyes. Yes, I am. Because Robert hasn't stopped loving Lyanna. Hasn't moved on. Hasn't let her go. And if he sees a girl who looks like her, who reminds him of her, I don't know what he'll do. But I know it won't be good. For Lyra. For us. For anyone. Something about Lyra. About who she really is. About... She stopped. About why you brought her home with Lyanna's bones. Ned's expression closed. Drop it, Cat. Ned, I've been your wife for 15 years. I've given you 5 children. I've kept your castle and honored your name and never questioned. But this is too much. This fear. This obsession with protecting her. Tell me the truth. Who is Lyra's mother? I can't or won't? Both. Ned stood. This conversation is over. Lyra goes to Greywater Watch. Tomorrow. Before Robert arrives, she'll stay with Howland until it's safe. Until Robert leaves. That's my decision. He left the solar, left Catelyn and Luwin staring after him. Outside, in the corridor, Ned leaned against the wall, closed his eyes, tried to breathe. 15 years. He'd protected Lyra for 15 years, hidden her, kept the secret, kept his promise to Lyanna. And now Robert who'd started a war for love, was riding north, riding straight toward the one person in the 7 kingdoms who could destroy everything Ned had built. Lyanna's daughter, Rhaegar's daughter, the true heir to the Iron Throne, living, breathing, looking exactly like the woman Robert had never stopped loving. Gods help them all. Lyra was in the training yard when father found her. She was sparring with Robb. Wooden swords. Fast movements. She'd gotten better over the years. Faster, stronger, good enough to make Robb work for his victories. Lyra. Father's voice cut through the clashing wood. Come with me now. She lowered her sword, looked at Robb. He shrugged. Go. I'll be here when you get back. Lyra followed father to his solar. The room felt too small, too close. Father's face was drawn, worried. Sit. Father poured 2 cups of water, pushed one toward her. The king is coming. Robert Baratheon. He'll be here in 2 months. I know. Everyone knows. The castle's been preparing. You won't be here when he arrives. Lyra blinked. What? I'm sending you to Greywater Watch, Lord Howland Reed's castle. You'll stay there until Robert leaves. Then you can come home. Why? Lyra's voice was sharper than she'd intended. Why do I have to leave? I'm not a child. I'm 14. I can handle meeting the king. It's not about handling it. Father's hands clenched. It's about, Lyra, there are things you don't understand, things I can't explain. But I need you to trust me, to do this without argument. Please. You are afraid of something. Lyra leaned forward. What? What are you afraid of? Lyra, is it because I look like her? Like Lyanna? Like your sister? The words tumbled out. People say I do. The servants. The guards. They say I have the Stark look, that I resemble the statues in the crypt. Is that why? Because Robert loved her? Because you're afraid he'll, what? Notice me? Father's face had gone ashen. Who told you about that? No one had to tell me. I have eyes. I have ears. I know Robert started the rebellion for her, that he killed Rhaegar for her, that he's never stopped grieving, and I know you're terrified of him seeing me. Why? Because you're right. The admission came out hoarse. You do look like her. More every year. And Robert. Robert isn't stable, isn't rational when it comes to Lyanna. If he sees you, if he becomes fixated, then what? What would he do? I don't know. That's the problem. I don't know, and I can't risk it. Can't risk you. So you're going to Greywater Watch. Tomorrow, you'll take an escort. You'll stay with Howland, and you won't come back until I send word. Understood? Lyra wanted to argue, wanted to refuse, but she saw the fear in father's eyes, real fear, the kind that transcended reason. Understood, she said quietly. Father exhaled. Thank you. I know it seems extreme, but Lyra, I'm trying to protect you. That's all I've ever tried to do. Protect you. Keep you safe. Even when it meant lying. Even when it meant... He stopped. Just trust me. Please. I trust you. And she did. Whatever father was hiding, whatever secret he carried, she trusted that he had good reasons. When do I leave? Dawn. Jory Castle will escort you. You'll take the western road. Avoid the King's Road entirely. Robert's party will be traveling from the south. You'll go west and then south into the neck. Howland will meet you at the edge of the swamps. How long will I be gone? Weeks, maybe months. Depending on how long Robert stays. Father moved around the desk, pulled her into an embrace. Rare. Precious. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all of this. For the life you've had to live. For the secrets. For everything. It's all right, Father. I understand. She didn't. Not really. But she understood enough. Something about her was dangerous. Something that went beyond bastard status. Beyond resemblance to a dead aunt. Something Father had been protecting her from for her entire life. And now, finally, that protection meant sending her away. She left the solar, went to her chambers, started packing. Tomorrow, she'd leave Winterfell. Leave the only home she'd ever known. Leave before Robert Baratheon arrived and everything changed. She didn't know it yet, but it was already too late. The King's Road. Lyra left Winterfell at dawn with Jory Castle and 5 guards. They rode west, away from the King's Road, through forests and fields that grew progressively wilder as they left the settled lands behind. The journey to Greywater Watch would take 2 weeks, maybe longer if the weather turned. You've been here before? Lyra asked Jory on the 3rd day. They were camped near a stream. The horses grazed nearby. To Greywater Watch? Once, years ago, with your father. Jory poked at the fire. Strange place. The castle moves. Did you know that? It's built on a crannog, a floating island in the swamps. The reeds pole it around. No one can find it unless they want to be found. That's why father chose it. That's why. Jory studied her. You understand what this is about? Why Lord Stark sent you away? He's afraid Robert will notice me. That I look like Lyanna. More than that. Jory's voice dropped. I was there, you know. When your father came back from the war, he had you. And Lyanna's bones? And he wouldn't talk about either. Wouldn't explain. Just said you were his bastard and that was that. What are you saying? I'm saying your father is the most honorable man I've ever known. And honor doesn't father bastards during wars and bring them home to shame their wives. Something else happened. Something he's never told anyone. And whatever it is, it's connected to you, to who you really are. Jory, I won't ask, won't press. But Lyra, when we get to Greywater Watch, when you meet Lord Howland, pay attention. He knows. Whatever secret Lord Stark is keeping, Howland Reed knows it too. He was there, at the Tower of Joy. He and your father were the only survivors. The Tower of Joy? Where Lyanna died? Where your father found her? Jory stood. Get some sleep. We've got a long ride tomorrow. Lyra lay awake that night staring at stars. The Tower of Joy. She'd heard the name before. In whispers. In stories about the war. The place where 3 Kingsguard had died. Where Ned Stark and Howland Reed had fought Arthur Dayne and survived. Where Lyanna had been. Where she died. And where, apparently, Lyra's story truly began. They reached the edge of the neck on the 10th day. The swamps stretched before them, endless, green, water and trees and mist rising from stagnant pools. The air smelled of rot and growth, of things dying and being born in the same breath. We wait here, Jory said. Lord Howland knows we're coming. He'll send someone to guide us in. They made camp. Hours passed. Then, movement in the swamp. A boat appeared. Long, low, made from woven reeds. A man stood at the stern. Small, lean, with a frog spear in his hands. Jory Cassell. The man's voice was soft. Northern accent but with something else underneath. Lord Stark sent word. We've been watching for you. She's to stay at Greywater Watch, under Lord Howland's protection. The Cranagman's eyes fixed on Lyra, studied her face. Something flickered in his expression. Recognition. Understanding. I see. He gestured to the boat. Leave the horses. They can't navigate the swamps. We'll pole in. The journey into the neck took hours. The boat moved through channels that looked identical, past trees draped with moss, past pools that bubbled with swamp gas. The Crannog man navigated without hesitation, like he could see paths invisible to everyone else. Finally, a castle. Greywater Watch rose from the swamp, built on a floating island, wooden towers, reed walls, bridges connecting different sections. The whole structure moved slightly, swaying, like it was breathing. Welcome to Greywater Watch. The Cranogman helped Lyra from the boat. Lord Howland is waiting. They crossed a bridge, entered the main keep. Inside was warmer than expected, drier. Furs on the walls, a hearth burning, and sitting beside it, a small man, maybe 40, dark hair, green eyes, weathered face. He wore simple clothes but carried himself with quiet authority. Howland Reed, Lyra Snow. His voice was gentle. I've waited a long time to meet you. Your father and I, we made a promise 15 years ago, and I've kept it. Every day, without fail. What promise? Lyra asked. Howland gestured to a chair. Sit. Jory, you and your men can wait in the hall. I need to speak with Lyra, alone. Jory hesitated, then nodded. Left with the guards. Lyra sat. Howland poured wine, passed her a cup. Your father never told you the truth, Howland said, about your mother, about who you really are. He couldn't. The secret was too dangerous, is too dangerous. But you're old enough now, smart enough, and with Robert coming to Winterfell, you deserve to know. Know what? That you're not Ned Stark's bastard? Howland's eyes held hers. You're Lyanna Stark's daughter, born at the Tower of Joy, fathered by Rhaegar Targaryen, the true heir to the Iron Throne. Lyra couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Couldn't. That's impossible, she whispered. Rhaegar kidnapped Lyanna, raped her, started a war. Father fought to save her and… No. Howland's voice was firm. Rhaegar didn't kidnap her. They ran away together, eloped, married in secret. Lyanna loved him, chose him, and when she died giving birth to you, she made Ned promise to protect you, to raise you as his bastard, to hide you from Robert who would have killed you the moment he knew you existed. Lyra's hands shook. I'm Targaryen. I'm Rhaegar's daughter. I'm the legitimate heir, yes. If Rhaegar and Lyanna married, and they did, then you're not a bastard at all. You're Princess Lyra Targaryen. First of your name, rightful queen of the Seven Kingdoms. Lyra stood, paced. The room felt too small, too close. This is insane. Why are you telling me this now? Why not years ago? Asked me to keep the secret. To let you grow up without the weight of it. Without the danger. Howland stood too. But Robert is coming. And Lyra, you look like Lyanna. More every year. If Robert sees you, if he becomes fixated, the truth might come out anyway. You needed to know. Needed to understand what's at stake. What's at stake is my entire life was a lie. Lyra's voice broke. Everything I thought I was, everything I believed, it's all true, in the ways that matter. Howland moved closer. Ned Stark raised you, loved you, protected you. He's your father in every way except blood. And Lyanna, your mother, she died to give you life, died making Ned promise to keep you safe. That's not a lie. That's sacrifice. Lyra sank back into the chair, put her head in her hands. Robert would kill me. Yes, that's why you're here. Why Ned sent you away. Because Robert loved Lyanna, obsessively. And if he sees you, sees her face in yours, he might try to keep you, take you to King's Landing, put you at court, and there, surrounded by people like Varys and Littlefinger and Cersei, the truth would come out. Someone would notice, someone would investigate, and you'd die. So I hide. For how long? Forever? For as long as necessary. Robert won't live forever. He's drinking himself to death, getting fat. Cersei hates him. One day, maybe soon, he'll die. And when he does, when the realm fractures, when the War of the Five Kings begins, the what? The war that's coming. When Robert dies, his children will take the throne. But they're not his children. They're Jaime Lannisters. Bastards born of incest. Stannis will know, will declare. Renly will too. The realm will split. And in that chaos, you'll have a choice. To press your claim. To reveal who you are. To take what's yours. Lyra stared at him. You want me to start a war. To fight for a throne I never knew existed. I want you to survive. To live. To have the option when the time comes. But for now, for today, I want you to stay here. Stay hidden. Learn what I can teach you. Teach me what? How to survive in the swamps. How to fight. How to lead. My daughter Mira is your age. She'll train with you. Teach you Cranogman ways. And when Robert is gone, when it's safe, you can return to Winterfell. Or you can stay. Or you can cross the narrow sea. Whatever you choose, you'll be ready. Lyra closed her eyes. Tried to process. Failed. Does anyone else know? Besides you and father? No. One living. The 3 Kings Guard at the tower died. Only Ned and I survived. Only we know the truth. And now me. Howland sat across from her. I'm sorry. I know this is overwhelming. But Lyra, you needed to know. Needed to understand why Ned has been so protective, so careful. It wasn't about hiding a bastard's shame. It was about keeping you alive. Looked at this small man who'd kept her secret for 15 years, who'd fought beside Ned, who'd saved Arthur Dayne's blade from Ned's back by stabbing the Sword of the Morning from behind. Thank you, she said quietly, for telling me, for keeping the secret, for everything. Thank Ned when you see him again. He's carried this burden alone for too long, carried the weight of dishonor, the shame, the lie, all to protect you. Howland stood. Come, I'll show you to your chambers. You'll meet Mira tomorrow. She'll be glad to have someone her age to train with. Lyra followed him through the castle. Her mind was spinning. Targaryen, princess, heir. Words that meant nothing and everything. She wasn't Ned Stark's bastard. She was Lyanna Stark's daughter, Rhaegar Targaryen's daughter, and the entire structure of her life, every assumption, every limitation, every truth she'd believed, had just shattered. Meanwhile, at Winterfell, Robert Baratheon arrived. The royal procession was massive, 300 people, wagons, horses, the gilded wheelhouse that Cersei insisted on traveling in, servants, knights, lords, a small army descending on the north. Ned stood in the courtyard watching them approach, his family beside him, Catelyn, Robb, Sansa, Arya, Bran, Rickon, the dire wolves they'd found weeks ago, pups now growing fast. But no Lyra. She was gone. Safe. Hidden. Ned repeated it like a prayer. She's safe. She's with Howland. Robert won't see her. Won't know. The gates opened. Robert rode in. He was huge. Fat. His armor didn't close over his belly. His beard was thick and unkempt. He rode like a man who'd rather be anywhere else. But when he saw Ned, when he dismounted and strode forward, his face lit up. Ned. Robert's voice boomed. Gods, you haven't changed. Still look like someone died, Your Grace. Ned bowed. Proper. Respectful. Winterfell is yours. Winterfell is mine. Robert looked around. At the castle. The walls. The people. It's smaller than I remember. Or I'm just bigger. He laughed. Slapped his belly. Look at me. Fat as a boar. You're still slim as the day we fought together. You look well, Your Grace. I look fat and you're too polite to say it. Robert's eyes moved past Ned. To the children? These yours? Gods, you've been busy. How many is that? 5? 6, Your Grace. Though one is elsewhere. Fostering? Fostering already? Which one? Ned's heart stopped. My daughter? Lyra? She's at Bear Island, with House Mormont. Your bastard. Robert's tone was casual, unconcerned. Didn't know you had one, boy or girl? Girl. Well, that's something. No succession problems, at least. Though Ned, keeping a bastard in your castle? With your wife? That took courage. Or stupidity. I can never tell which. Robert turned to Cersei. My lady wife, may I present Eddard Stark, Lord of Winterfell and Warden of the North. My oldest friend. Cersei's smile was cold. Perfect. Lord Stark, your castle is charming, very northern. Thank you, Your Grace. The introductions continued. Each child presented. Robb, Sansa, Arya, Bran, Rickon. Robert barely looked at them. His attention was already elsewhere, on the ale being brought out, on the feast being prepared. But then, disaster. One of the servants, an old woman, placing bread on a table, she looked at the assembled Starks, at Ned, and spoke without thinking. Shame Lady Lyra isn't here. She looks so much like your sister, my lord. Like Lady Lyanna come back to life. The courtyard went silent. Robert's head snapped around. What did you say? The servant paled. I'm sorry, Your Grace. I didn't mean... You said Ned's bastard looks like Lyanna. Robert's voice was sharp. Dangerous. Like my Lyanna. She has the Stark look, Your Grace. The long face. Gray eyes. Many people have remarked, where is she? I told you. Bear Island. Fostering with... Bring her here. Robert's tone allowed no argument. Now, send a raven. Have her brought to Winterfell immediately. I want to see her. Your Grace, she's been gone for weeks. It would take... I don't care how long it takes. Send for her. Today. And Ned? Robert stepped closer. His breath smelled of wine. Don't lie to me. Don't tell me she's not available or that it's inconvenient. I want to see this girl who looks like Lyanna. Understand. Good. Robert turned away. Now, where's the feast? I didn't ride all this way to stand in a courtyard. The servants scattered. The royal party moved toward the great hall. Ned stood frozen. Catelyn appeared at his side. We're in trouble. I know. What do we do? I don't know. Ned looked at his wife. But we can't bring Lyra back. We can't let Robert see her. He'll what? I don't know. That's the problem. I don't know what he'll do. But it won't be good. For her. For us. For anyone. Then we stall. We send a raven to Bear Island. We tell them to say Lyra is sick. Or traveling. or anything that keeps her away until Robert leaves. And if he doesn't leave, if he stays, if he demands she come to King's Landing instead? Catelyn had no answer. They entered the great hall. The feast was beginning. Robert, already drunk, Cersei cold and distant. The Lannister children, Joffrey, Myrcella, Tommen, seated at the high table. Ned caught Rob's eye. His son looked worried. Understanding that something had gone wrong, the feast stretched on. Hours. Robert telling war stories, drinking, laughing, occasionally mentioning Lyanna, occasionally asking Ned questions about his bastard daughter. So this girl, Lyra, how old is she? 14, Your Grace. Same age as my Joffrey. Maybe I should. Robert stopped, shook his head. No, bad idea. Cersei would kill me. But still, a girl who looks like Lyanna. I'd like to see that. To remember, Ned said nothing, just drank his wine and prayed to gods he didn't believe in that Robert would lose interest, would forget, would leave Winterfell before Lyra ever had to return. But he knew better. Robert never forgot Lyanna, never stopped loving her, never moved on. And now there was a living reminder. A girl who carried Lyanna's face, who walked and talked and existed in a way Lyanna never could again. Robert wouldn't let that go, wouldn't ignore it. He'd obsess, fixate, demand to see her, to know her, to. The next morning, Robert demanded to see the crypts. Ned led him down, through the stone passages, past generations of dead Starks, the kings of winter with iron swords across their laps, lords and ladies frozen in stone. The history of House Stark preserved in darkness. Robert walked slowly, looking at each statue, each face, until he reached her. Lyanna Stark, her statue was beautiful, carved with more care than the others. Long hair, delicate features, hands folded, a winter rose in her stone fingers. Robert stopped, stared, for a long moment said nothing. Then, she was so beautiful, Ned, so fierce. Remember how she rode? How she laughed? Gods, I've never known anyone like her. She was special, Ned agreed quietly. I dream about her sometimes, about what might have been, if Rhaegar hadn't taken her, if we'd married as we planned. We'd have had children, been happy. Everything would have been different. Everything would have been different, but not the way you think. Because Lyanna didn't want to marry you. She loved Rhaegar, chose him, and the daughter she had, the child standing in stone before you. She's real. She's alive. She's everything you never knew you lost. But Ned said none of that, just stood silent while Robert grieved. This bastard of yours, Robert said finally. The one who looks like her. I want to see her, really see her. Not just, I want her brought to Winterfell, or to King's Landing, somewhere I can meet her properly. Your Grace, I know what you're going to say, that it's inappropriate, that Cersei will object, that it's politically complicated. I don't care, Ned. I want to see her, this girl who has Lyanna's face, even if it's just once, even if it's just to remember. Robert, I don't think that's wise. Since when do I do wise things? Robert turned. Send the raven. Today. Tell Bear Island to send her. And Ned, I'm not asking. I'm ordering. As your king. Bring me this girl. He left the crypts. Ned stood alone in the darkness, beside Lyanna's statue, beside the stone representation of the woman whose secret he'd kept for 15 years. I'm sorry, he whispered. I promised I'd protect her, promised I'd keep her safe. But Robert, he's not leaving this alone. He's going to find her, going to see her. And when he does, when he did, everything would unravel. The secret would come out, one way or another. Because Robert wasn't stupid, wasn't blind, and surrounded by people like Varys and Barristan Selmy, people who'd known Rhaegar, who'd been at court when Lyanna was taken, who understood the timeline. Someone would connect the pieces. Someone would realize that Ned Stark's bastard daughter, born the same year as the Tower of Joy, looking exactly like Lyanna, was more than just a coincidence. And then Lyra would die. Robert would execute her himself, would see Rhaegar's daughter and remember his hatred, would kill her for being dragon spawn, for being proof that Lyanna had chosen Rhaegar over him. Unless Ned told him first, told him the truth, controlled the revelation, made Robert understand that Lyanna had loved Rhaegar, that their daughter was innocent, that killing her would dishonor everything Lyanna had died for. It was a desperate plan, a terrible plan, but it was the only plan Ned had. He climbed from the crypts, found Catelyn in their chambers. "I'm going to tell him," Ned said. "I'm going to tell Robert the truth. About Lyra." Catelyn's face went pale. "Ned, you can't. He'll kill her. He'll find out anyway, eventually. Someone will notice. Someone will investigate. And when they do, when the truth comes out without my control, it'll be worse. This way I can frame it. Make him understand. Make him see that Lyanna chose this. That killing her daughter dishonors her memory. And if he doesn't care, if he kills her anyway, then I'll have failed. Failed Lyanna. Failed my promise. Failed everything." Ned sat heavily. "But Cat, I don't have a choice. Robert's not leaving this alone. He's ordered Lyra brought here. If I refuse, he'll go himself. To Bear Island. To Greywater Watch. Wherever she is, he'll find her. Better I control when and how he learns the truth. Before he commits to bringing her here, I'll take him to the crypts again. Tell him beside Lyanna's tomb. Make him understand." Catelyn was quiet for a long time. Then, "I didn't know. All these years. I thought she was just your bastard. Your shame. I hated her for it. For being proof that you dishonored our marriage. But she's Lyanna's daughter. She's your niece. And you've been protecting her from everyone. Including me. I'm sorry." Ned's voice was hollow. "I'm sorry I couldn't tell you. That I let you think." "Don't." Catelyn moved to him. Knelt. Took his hands. "Don't apologize. You did what you had to do. What Lyanna asked. You kept your promise. And Ned, whatever happens now, I'll help. I'll stand with you, with Lyra, with all of it. Even if it means war, if Robert refuses to accept the truth. Even then." Catelyn's eyes were hard. "Certain. She's family, Stark blood, and the pack protects its own." Let himself take comfort for just a moment in his wife's strength. Then he stood. "I'll talk to Robert tonight, after the feast. Before he can send the raven, pray that he listens. That he understands. That 15 years of friendship means something. And if they don't, then we run. We take Lyra and we disappear. To Greywater Watch, to White Harbor, across the narrow sea if necessary. But we don't let her die. Not for Robert's grief. Not for anyone." That night after the feast, Ned found Robert in his chambers. The king was drunk. As usual, surrounded by empty wine cups. His doublet was open. His hair was a mess. "Ned," Robert gestured expansively. "Come in. Have a drink. Gods know I've had enough, but what's one more? I need to talk to you. About something important. Always so serious. Fine. Talk. What's so important it can't wait until I'm sober? Which might be never at this rate." Ned sat, poured himself wine, drank. "It's about Lyanna and my daughter. The bastard who looks like her? Good. I want to know everything. Who's the mother? Where did you meet her? Was it during the war or—" "There is no mother. Not the way you think." Ned's voice was steady. Controlled. "Robert, Lyra isn't my bastard. She's Lyanna's daughter. Born at the Tower of Joy. Fathered by Rhaegar Targaryen." Silence. Robert's face went through several expressions. Confusion, disbelief, anger, rage. He stood. "What did you say?" "Lyanna and Rhaegar eloped. Married in secret. She loved him. Chose him. And when I found her at the Tower of Joy, when she was dying, she made me promise to protect their daughter, to raise her as my bastard, to hide her from you because you would have killed her. You're lying." Robert's voice was dangerous, low. "You're telling me Lyanna, my Lyanna, married that silver-haired bastard willingly? That she betrayed me? That she didn't betray you. She never agreed to marry you. That was arranged by our fathers. She wanted freedom, wanted to choose, and she chose Rhaegar." "No." Robert's fist slammed into the table. "No. Lyanna loved me. She was mine. Rhaegar took her, kidnapped her, raped her. Started a war because he didn't. She went willingly. I know because she told me. With her dying breath, she told me she loved him, that they married, that Lyra was legitimate, the true heir to the Iron Throne." Robert was shaking. His face was red, veins standing out on his neck. Where is she? This dragon spawn? This proof of Lyanna's betrayal? I'll send armies. I'll burn the north if I have to. And when I do, when I find her, I'll kill her myself. I'll strangle her with my own hands. Just like I should have strangled Rhaegar's other bastards. Just like, if you touch her, you'll start another war. Ned's voice was ice. The north will rise. Every lord, every house, they'll fight you to protect Lyanna's daughter. And Robert, you'll lose, because I'll lead them. I'll stand against you, my oldest friend. My brother, I'll fight you to keep my promise to Lyanna. Robert stared at him. You'd choose a Targaryen over me? I'd choose family over anyone. Even you. They stood in silence, Robert breathing hard, Ned waiting. Everything balanced on a knife's edge. Then Robert's shoulders sagged, the rage drained from him, leaving only grief. She didn't love me. No, I'm sorry. But no, she didn't. All these years, all this time, I've been mourning a woman who never wanted me, who chose someone else, who. Robert sat, heavily. Gods, what a fool I've been. Does anyone else know? About the girl? About who she really is? Only Howland Reed. He was there, at the tower. He knows the truth. And the girl herself. She deserves to know who she is, what she is. Robert laughed, bitter, broken. A Targaryen. A real one. Not some exile across the sea. Right here, in the north. Under my nose for 15 years. If the realm knew, if anyone knew, they'd rally to her. Wouldn't they? The true heir. The legitimate queen. They'd overthrow me. Overthrow my children. Start the whole cycle again. Maybe, or maybe not. Robert, she doesn't want the throne, doesn't want power. She just wants to live. That's all. Just to live without fear, without looking over her shoulder, without waiting for the day someone discovers the truth and kills her for it. I should, for Rhaegar's sake, for what he did, for the lie I've been living. I should kill her and end this. You should, Ned agreed. If you are the kind of king who murders innocent girls for their father's crimes, if you're the kind of man who dishonors his friend's sister by killing her daughter, if you want to be remembered as the king who couldn't let go of the past, then yes, you should kill her. Damn you, Ned. Robert looked up. His eyes were wet. Damn you for making me see reason. For making me. He stopped. I won't kill her. I won't even look for her. Let her stay hidden. Let her live whatever life you've arranged. But if she ever comes south, if she ever tries to claim her birthright, if she ever threatens my children, she won't. I promise you that. She won't. Then we're done. Robert stood. We'll never speak of this again. Never mention it. As far as the realm is concerned, your bastard is at Bear Island, learning to be a proper northern lady, and that's the end of it. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just get out. I need to drink and mourn and figure out how to live with the knowledge that everything I've believed for 15 years was a lie. Ned left, closed the door behind him, stood in the corridor trying to breathe. He'd done it, told Robert. Survived. And Lyra was safe. For now, for as long as Robert kept his word, which, God's willing, would be long enough. At Greywater Watch, Lyra trained with Mira Reed. The Cranogman girl was her age, lean, quick, deadly with a frog spear. She taught Lyra how to move through swamps, how to hunt, how to fight in ways the training yard had never covered. You're Stark, Mira said on their 10th day. They were practicing spear work. You fight like one, direct, honorable. But you need to learn to be tricky too, to use the terrain, to ambush. That's how we survive down here. I'm not just Stark, Lyra said. The words still felt strange. I'm Targaryen too. I know, Father told me, after you arrived. He said you were special, that you'd change everything one day. I don't want to change everything. I just want to live. Sometimes we don't get to choose. Mira blocked Lyra's thrust, countered. Sometimes the world chooses for us. And all we can do is survive. Be ready. Fight when we have to. They trained until dark. Then Lyra returned to her chambers, found a raven waiting. A message from Winterfell. She broke the seal. Read Ned's careful script. Robert knows. I told him the truth. He's agreed to leave you alone, to keep the secret. Stay at Greywater Watch until I send word. You're safe, I promise. You're safe. Ned. Lyra sat on her bed. Read the message 3 times. Robert knew. The king knew she was Rhaegar's daughter, and he'd chosen not to kill her. She should feel relieved, grateful, safe. Instead, she felt nothing, empty, like the revelation had burned through every emotion until only ashes remained. She wasn't Ned Stark's bastard. She was Princess Lyra Targaryen, legitimate heir to the Iron Throne, hidden in the swamps, learning to fight, waiting for a future that might never come. And somewhere in Winterfell, Robert Baratheon was drinking himself into oblivion, mourning a woman who'd never loved him, keeping a secret that could destroy kingdoms. The game had changed. The pieces had moved. And Lyra was still a pawn, just a different kind, with a different target painted on her back. But she was alive, and she'd stay alive, whatever it took. That night, she dreamed of fire, of dragons, of a silver-haired man singing while cities burned, and when she woke, her sheets were soaked with sweat despite the cold. Her skin was hot, burning. The Targaryen blood, waking up, making itself known. She was the blood of the dragon, and one day, when the time was right, the world would know it. 3 months passed at Greywater Watch. Lyra trained every day with Mira, learned the Cranogman ways, how to move silently through water, how to read the swamp's moods, how to kill quickly and vanish before anyone knew you'd been there. But more than that, she learned who she was. Howland Reed told her stories about Rhaegar, about Lyanna, about the tourney at Harrenhal where a silver prince had crowned a wolf maiden with blue winter roses. Your father was beautiful, Howland said one evening. They sat by the fire. Rain drummed on the reed roof, not just in appearance, in spirit. He played the harp, sang songs that made women weep. He read prophecy and believed he was meant for something greater. The prince that was promised, Lyra said. She'd heard the phrase in her dreams, whispered by voices she didn't recognize. Yes, he believed he had to fulfill a prophecy, that the dragon must have 3 heads, that he needed another child. Elia couldn't give him one. Her health was broken after Aegon's birth. So he looked elsewhere, and he found Lyanna. Did he love her, or did he just use her? Both, I think. He loved her, truly, but he also needed her, for the prophecy, for the child she could give him. And Lyanna loved him back. But she also wanted freedom, wanted to choose her own path. They found each other at exactly the right moment, or the wrong one, depending on how you look at it. And they started a war. They didn't mean to. They thought they could run away, marry in secret, return after the child was born and explain everything. But Brandon rode to King's Landing demanding Rhaegar answer for his sister. And the Mad King, Aerys, he burned Brandon and your grandfather alive. That's what started the war, not Rhaegar and Lyanna, Aerys's madness. Lyra stared into the flames. So I'm the result of love and prophecy and madness all mixed together. You're the result of 2 people who made choices, good and bad, and you're here, alive. That's what matters. Robert wanted to kill me, but he didn't. Ned convinced him. That takes strength. From both of them. Robert could have ordered your death, sent assassins, burned the North to find you, but he chose mercy instead. That says something. It says he loved Lyanna enough to spare her daughter. Not that he accepted the truth. Maybe, but mercy is mercy, however it comes. The raven from Winterfell arrived on a cold morning in the 4th month. Robert is leaving, heading south. He's taking Ned with him, appointed him Hand of the King. Joffrey is betrothed to Sansa. Everything is happening as I feared. I need you to stay at Greywater Watch. Do not come to Winterfell. Do not try to follow. Stay hidden. Stay safe. I'll send word when I can. Catelyn will rule Winterfell in my absence. Robb will help her. If anything happens to me, if I don't return, go to her. Tell her everything. She knows the truth now. She'll protect you. Be careful. Be smart. And Lyra, know that I love you. That I've always loved you. You're my daughter in every way that matters. Never forget that. Ned. Lyra read the letter 3 times. Then, handed it to Howland. He's walking into a trap, Howland said quietly. Going south with Robert, to King's Landing, where Cersei and the Lannisters control everything. Ned won't survive that. He's too honorable, too honest. They'll eat him alive. Then I have to warn him. Have to. You can't. If you go to Winterfell, people will see you, will ask questions. And if you go to King's Landing, Howland shook his head. That's suicide. Varys is there. The master of whisperers. He knows everything, sees everything. If you walk into King's Landing, he'll notice. He'll investigate, and he'll discover who you are within days. So I just sit here, while Ned walks to his death? You survive? That's what Ned wants. That's what he's spent 15 years protecting. Your life. Don't waste it trying to save him when he's already made his choice. Wanted to scream? Wanted to do something other than sit in the swamps while her father, the man who'd raised her, who'd loved her, who'd sacrificed everything for her, walked into danger. But Howland was right. Going south was suicide. And if she died, everything Ned had done would be for nothing. So she stayed, and she waited, and she trained harder, pushed herself further, prepared for the day when staying hidden was no longer an option. That day came sooner than anyone expected. In King's Landing, Ned Stark walked into a nightmare. He'd gone south reluctantly, only because Robert had ordered it, only because refusing the hand's position would have raised questions he couldn't answer. Sansa had come with him. Arya, too. The girls excited for the capital, for the glamour and the tournaments and everything they'd dreamed of. Ned had tried to refuse, had tried to keep them north. But Sansa was betrothed to Joffrey, the future queen. She had to come. And Arya had begged, had pleaded, had promised to behave if only Ned would let her see the south. So they'd gone. And within weeks, Ned knew he'd made a terrible mistake. King's Landing was everything Winterfell wasn't. Crowded, dirty, dangerous. The streets smelled of shit and sweat and desperation. The court was a viper's nest of lies and manipulation. And Jon Arryn's death, the reason Ned had been summoned, was murder. Not old age, not natural causes. Murder. Ned investigated carefully, following the trail Jon Arryn had left. A book of lineages. Conversations with Robert's bastards. The phrase that kept appearing, "The seed is strong." And then, horrifyingly, Ned understood. Joffrey wasn't Robert's son. Neither was Myrcella or Tommen. They were all Jaime Lannister's children, born of incest between the Kingslayer and his sister. The truth was devastating. Treasonous, dangerous beyond measure, Ned confronted Cersei, privately, gave her a chance to flee, to take her children and run before Robert returned from his hunting trip. It was mercy. Stupid, honorable mercy. Cersei smiled. You wear your honor like a suit of armor, Stark. You think it keeps you safe, but all it does is make you predictable. 2 days later, Robert was dead, gored by a boar, too drunk to defend himself, exactly as Ned had feared. And Cersei moved fast. Joffrey was crowned. Ned was arrested, charged with treason, thrown into the black cells beneath the Red Keep. His daughters were trapped, Sansa in the castle, Arya somewhere in the city, both in danger, both hostages. Ned sat in darkness and realized how completely he'd failed. Failed Robert, failed his daughters, failed Lyra by getting himself captured and leaving her without protection. Varys visited him in the cells. The master of whisperers moved like a ghost, appeared suddenly in the torchlight. His powdered face, his soft hands, his knowing smile. Lord Stark, how unfortunate to find yourself here, in these depths, where no one can hear you scream. What do you want? Ned's voice was hoarse. He'd been here for days, maybe weeks. Time lost meaning in the dark. To offer you a choice. Confess your treason. Publicly. Swear that Joffrey is the true king, Robert's legitimate heir. And in exchange, your daughters go free. Sansa marries Joffrey as planned. Arya returns north. You take the black. Join the Night's Watch. Live out your days on the wall. And if I refuse, then you die, and your daughters suffer. Joffrey is young, cruel, easily influenced, without you to restrain him. Well, let's just say Sansa's future would be unpleasant, and Arya, little Arya who they're still searching for, she'd be hunted, found, punished. Ned closed his eyes. You're asking me to lie, to dishonor everything I believe, to put a bastard born of incest on the throne. I'm asking you to save your daughters. Everything else is details. What does it matter to you whether I confess or not? Varys tilted his head. Because chaos is a ladder, Lord Stark. And right now, the realm is climbing. War is coming. The Starks, the Lannisters, the Baratheon brothers, everyone will fight. And in that fighting, opportunities arise, for those wise enough to see them. You're a monster. I'm a survivor. There's a difference. Varys moved toward the door. You have until tomorrow. The public execution is scheduled. Confess and live. Refuse and die. Choose wisely. He left. Ned sat in darkness. Confess. Lie. Dishonor himself. Put Joffrey on the throne. Send the realm into the hands of the Lannisters. Everything he'd fought against. Everything he stood for. But his daughters. Sansa and Arya. Trapped. In danger. Depending on him to save them. In the end, it wasn't even a choice. The next day they brought him to the Sept of Baelor, in chains, before a crowd of thousands. Sansa was there, on the platform, watching with terrified eyes. Ned confessed, said the words they wanted, called himself a traitor, called Joffrey the true king, dishonored everything he'd ever believed. I am Eddard Stark, Lord of Winterfell and Hand of the King. I come before you to confess my treason. I plotted to steal the throne from the rightful king. I schemed to put my own blood on the Iron Throne. I am guilty of all charges, and I throw myself on the mercy of the crown. The crowd roared. Some cheered, some booed. Most just watched. Joffrey stood, young, blonde, cruel-faced. My mother wants me to let you take the black. Join the Night's Watch. Live out your days in exile. Ned closed his eyes, waited, hoped. But I think traitors should die. Don't you? The crowd went wild. Sansa screamed. Ned opened his eyes, saw Joffrey's smile, saw Cersei's shock, saw Sir Eiland Payne drawing ice, his own sword brought south as a symbol of Stark power, and moving forward. No. The word came out weak, useless. You promised. I confessed. You said, I'm the king. I can do what I want. The blade fell. Eddard Stark, Lord of Winterfell, Warden of the North, died on the steps of the Sept of Baelor, beheaded with his own sword, in front of his daughter, in front of the realm, and the world erupted into war. The news reached Greywater Watch 3 weeks later. Howland brought the message himself, came to Lyra's chambers with a raven's letter clutched in his hand. His face was gray. Ned is dead. Lyra stared at him. What? Executed. By Joffrey, in King's Landing. Despite confessing? Despite everything. Howland's voice shook. Your father is dead. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The world tilted. Lyra sat heavily. Tried to breathe. Failed. Dead. Ned was dead. The man who'd raised her, protected her, loved her. Gone. Murdered by a boy king. By the Lannisters. By, where are my sisters? Sansa and Arya. Either dead or hiding. And the North? Rising. Robb has called the banners. Every house, every lord. He's marching south with 20,000 men to avenge his father, to rescue his sister, to, Howland stopped, to start a war. A war the North can't win. Not alone. Not against the Lannisters and the Tyrells and everyone else who'll rally to Joffrey's crown. Lyra stood, paced. Her mind was racing, spinning, trying to process. Ned was dead. The North was going to war. Sansa was trapped. Arya was missing. And Lyra, the legitimate queen, hidden in a swamp while the realm tore itself apart. I have to go to them, she said, to Winterfell. To Robb, I have to... Lyra, if the realm learns you exist, if the Lannisters discover there's a legitimate Targaryen heir, they'll hunt you. Every assassin, every army. They won't stop until you're dead. Then I'll fight. You'll die, just like Ned died, just like everyone who's tried to fight the Lannisters has died. Lyra, please, think Ned gave his life to keep you safe, to keep the secret. Don't waste that. Don't throw it away because you're angry. I'm not angry. Lyra's voice was flat, cold. I'm done hiding. She left the chamber, found Mira in the training yard, practicing with her spear. I'm going to Winterfell, Lyra said. Coming with me? Mira lowered her weapon. Father won't allow it. Father doesn't get to decide. I'm not his daughter. I'm not anyone's property. I'm going. With or without you. Mira studied her, then smiled. With. Always with. When do we leave? Before Howland can stop us. They packed quickly. Supplies, weapons, warm clothes. Mira brought her frog spear. Lyra took a short sword Howland had given her. Simple. Functional. Nothing like the Valyrian steel greatsword ice that had killed Ned. They left at midnight, stole a boat, poled through the swamps using paths Mira knew by heart. By dawn, they were clear of the neck, on solid ground, heading north. The journey to Winterfell took 2 weeks. They traveled fast, avoided the King's Road where Lannister patrols might be searching for refugees fleeing south, stuck to game trails and forest paths. They passed through a realm at war, burned villages, refugees streaming north, soldiers moving south to join Robb's army. Everywhere, chaos, fear, anger. The north was rising, and it was glorious and terrible to see. They reached Winterfell on a gray afternoon. The castle looked the same, unchanged, but the people were different, harder, grimmer, preparing for a war they might not survive. Lyra approached the gates. Guards stopped her. "Who are you?" "Lyra Snow, Ned Stark's daughter. I'm here to see Lady Catelyn." The guards exchanged glances. One left, returned minutes later. "Lady Stark will see you." "Follow me." They entered the castle. Lyra's heart ached seeing it again. Home. The place she'd grown up. The place she'd left 4 months ago thinking she'd return in weeks. Catelyn waited in the great hall. She looked older, thinner, gray streaks in her red hair, eyes that had seen too much grief. "Lyra," her voice was controlled. "Careful. I didn't expect you. Ned said you were to stay at Greywater Watch. Ned is dead. Plans change." Catelyn flinched. "Yes, they do. And Robb. Robb is south, with the army, fighting, trying to rescue your sister, trying to avenge." She stopped. "We should talk. Privately." They went to Catelyn's solar. Mira waited outside. Just Lyra and Catelyn, face to face. "Ned told me the truth," Catelyn said, "before he left. About who you really are, about Lyanna and Rhaegar, about everything. And I'm sorry, for treating you the way I did, for years of coldness, for making you feel unwelcome in your own home. I thought you were a threat, a reminder of Ned's dishonor. I didn't know, couldn't have known, that you were protecting my family by existing, that keeping you secret kept all of us safe. No, it didn't." Catelyn's voice broke. Nothing could. He was too honorable, too good, and they killed him for it. They sat in silence. 2 women who'd circled each other for 14 years, never quite family, never quite enemies, bound by a man who'd loved them both and died protecting them. "What are you going to do?" Catelyn asked finally. "I don't know. I came here thinking I could help somehow, but I don't know how. I don't know what I am anymore. Bastard. Princess. Heir. None of it means anything with Ned gone. It means everything. Lyra, you're the legitimate heir to the Iron Throne. If the realm knew, if people understood you existed, they'd rally to you. The Targaryen loyalists, the houses that never accepted Robert's rule. You could end this war, could unite the realm, or I could start a bigger one. Civil war, North against South, Stark against Lannister against Targaryen. How many would die for my claim? How many innocents? Maybe fewer, because right now the realm has no legitimate ruler. Joffrey is a bastard. Stannis claims the throne but has no proof. Renly claims it through power alone. But you have blood, legitimacy, the law on your side. The law didn't save Ned. No, but an army might save Sansa. An army loyal to the true queen. An army that fights for justice instead of revenge." Catelyn leaned forward. "Lyra, I know you're afraid. I know revealing yourself is dangerous. But sometimes we don't get to choose safety. Sometimes we have to choose necessity. And if I reveal myself and fail, if the Lannisters kill me, what then? Then you die having tried, having fought, having stood for something. That's more than most people get." Lyra looked out the window, at Winterfell's courtyard, at the place where she'd trained with Robb, where she'd climbed walls, where she'd been happy before everything fell apart. "I need to think, need time to. We don't have time. Robb is south, fighting. Every day more men die. And Sansa is still trapped in King's Landing, still in danger. If you can help, if you can end this, you have to try." Before Lyra could answer, shouting erupted from the courtyard. Horns blowing, gates opening, they rushed to the window, saw riders entering, Northern lords, battle-worn. One carried a banner, Robb's banner, the direwolf of House Stark. And leading them, not Robb, someone else, a man in armor, tall, broad, with a message clutched in his hand. Catelyn ran from the solar. Lyra followed. They reached the courtyard as the messenger dismounted. Lady Stark. He bowed, exhausted. Covered in road dust, I bring news from the Riverlands, from your son. Is he alive? Is Robb? He's alive, victorious. He's won every battle. The Whispering Wood, the camps, he's captured Jaime Lannister himself, taken him prisoner. The messenger held out the letter. But my lady, there's more. The Northern Lords, they've done something unexpected. Catelyn broke the seal. Read. Her face went pale. No, they can't. He can't. What? Lyra demanded. What happened? Lyra read Robb's careful script. Mother, we've won great victories. The Lannisters are reeling. Jaime is our prisoner. Riverrun is saved. But the lords, the Northern Lords and the River Lords, they've made a decision. They won't fight for Joffrey, won't fight for Stannis or Renly. They say the Iron Throne is poison, that the South has never cared for the North, that we should rule ourselves. They've crowned me king in the North. Like the old kings before Aegon's conquest. They knelt, they swore oaths. And I couldn't refuse. Not without dishonoring them. Not without breaking everything we've built. I'm king in the North now. And we're fighting not to rescue Sansa, though we will, but to be free. To take back what's ours. To rule ourselves. I know this isn't what Father would have wanted, but Father is dead, and the North must survive, whatever it takes. Robb. Lyra lowered the letter. King in the North. Seceded from the Seven Kingdoms. Started his own kingdom. Catelyn's voice was hollow. He's 13 years old and they've made him a king. He's won battles. Captured Jaime Lannister. That's more than most kings ever do. And he's put a target on all our backs. The Lannisters will never accept this. Never allow it. They'll send everything they have to crush him. To make an example. And Lyra, Catelyn turned to her. If you reveal yourself now, if you claim the throne, you and Robb, you'd be enemies. The North against the Targaryens. Just like the conquest. Just like 300 years ago. Unless I support him. Unless I recognize Northern independence. Let Robb have his kingdom. Focus on the South. The realm would never accept a divided kingdom. 7 kingdoms becoming 6, it would be chaos. The realm is already chaos. Lyra paced. Catelyn, I don't want to fight Robb. Don't want to fight the North. But if I claim the throne, if I reveal who I am, the North is the only region that would support me. The only people who'd fight for Lyanna's daughter. Without them, I have nothing. Make him understand that you're not the enemy. That together, a Stark king and a Targaryen queen, you could reshape the realm, end the war, save everyone. And if he refuses, if he won't give up his crown, the throne or your family, power or peace, ambition or love, Catelyn's eyes were hard. But choose quickly, because every day you wait, more people die, and eventually there won't be anything left to save. Lyra left Winterfell 3 days later. She rode south with an escort. 20 men, led by Ser Rodrik Cassel, heading toward Riverrun where Robb had made his headquarters. The journey took 2 weeks. Through a riverlands torn by war, they passed Lannister patrols, saw villages burned by Gregor Clegane's raiders, saw refugees fleeing toward anywhere that seemed safe. This was what war looked like. Not glorious charges and heroic duels, just suffering, death, destruction spreading like a plague. They reached Riverrun on a cold evening. The castle sat at the confluence of 2 rivers, the Red Fork and the Tumblestone, impregnable, beautiful, and currently hosting the king in the North's war council. Guards stopped them at the gates. Who are you? Lyra Snow, Ned Stark's daughter. I'm here to see the king. King Robb isn't seeing. He'll see me. Tell him his sister has come. Tell him Lyra is here. Returned looking shocked. The king says to bring her immediately. They entered the castle, were led to a great hall. Inside, Northern lords, river lords, all of them armed, battle-worn, hard-eyed men who'd been fighting for months. And at the center, sitting in a chair that wasn't quite a throne, with a crown of bronze and iron on his head, Robb Stark, king in the north. He looked older, harder. The boy Lyra had grown up with was gone, replaced by a man who'd killed, who'd commanded, who'd become something more than just Ned's son. Lyra. Robb stood, moved toward her. Gods, I thought, when you didn't come to Winterfell, when Mother said you'd gone to Greywater Watch, I thought I'd lost you too. You didn't lose me. I'm here. Why? Why risk coming south? You should have stayed hidden, stayed safe. That's what Father wanted. Father is dead, and you've become a king. Things change. Robb gestured to the lords. Out, all of you. I need to speak with my sister. Alone. They filed out, slowly, reluctantly, leaving Robb and Lyra alone in the hall. You're taller, Robb said. His voice was softer now, more like the boy she remembered. And you look like the crypts, like the statues, like Lyanna. I know, everyone says so. I heard what happened with Robert, that he found out about you, that he let you live. Mother told me everything, about who you really are, about... Robb stopped. Why didn't you tell me? All those years, we were best friends, we trained together, fought together, and you never said. Because I didn't know. Not until Robert was coming. Not until Howland told me. And Robb, even if I had known, I couldn't have told you. The secret was too dangerous. Is too dangerous. Dangerous. Robb laughed bitterly. Lyra, I'm fighting a war against the Iron Throne. I've declared independence. I've crowned myself king. Dangerous is relative. You understand why I'm here, why I have to ask. She stopped, started again. Robb, I'm the legitimate heir to the Iron Throne, the true queen. If I revealed myself, if I claimed my birthright, would you fight me? Would the North fight me? Silence. Robb moved to the window, looked out at the rivers, at the lands he was fighting for. I don't know, he said finally. The North crowned me because they don't trust the South. Don't trust the Lannisters or the Baratheons or anyone who isn't Northern. They want independence, freedom, and I promised them that. Swore I'd fight for it. If I suddenly told them to kneel to a Targaryen queen, even one with Stark blood, he shook his head. They'd call it betrayal. Even though I'm Lyanna's daughter? Even though I'm Northern born? You're also Rhaegar's daughter, the Mad King's granddaughter. The Targaryens burned my grandfather alive, murdered my uncle, started the war that destroyed everything. The North hasn't forgotten that, won't forget it. So you won't support me. I didn't say that. Robb turned. I said it's complicated. Lyra, if you claim the throne, if you reveal yourself, you'll need allies, armies. The North is the strongest military force in Westeros right now. We've beaten the Lannisters repeatedly. If we fought together, if we combined our forces, we could take King's Landing, end the war, rescue Sansa. In exchange for what? What do you want? Recognition. Of Northern independence. Let us rule ourselves. Don't try to bring us back under the Iron Throne's control. The North becomes its own kingdom, like it was before Aegon. And you rule the South, 6 kingdoms instead of 7. It's not perfect, but it's peace. Lyra considered. A divided realm, the North independent, the South under Targaryen rule. It was better than war, better than more death. But the Lords won't accept it, not on either side. The Southerners will see it as weakness. The Northerners will see it as surrender. We'd both be fighting our own people before we could fight the Lannisters. Then what do you suggest? A marriage alliance. The words came out before Lyra had fully thought them through. But once said, they made sense. Perfect sense. You and me. King in the North and Queen of the 6 kingdoms. United through marriage, our children would inherit both crowns. Eventually, when we're gone, the realm stays divided for now. But united through blood, through family. Robb stared at her. You want to marry me? I want to end the war, save Sansa, stop the Lannisters, and I want to do it without tearing the North apart. This does all of that. We marry. We fight together. We win together. And when it's over, we rule our separate kingdoms but as allies, as family, as pack. We grew up as siblings. We grew up as best friends. That's different. And Robb, we're not really siblings. Not by blood. I'm your cousin. Marriages between cousins happen all the time in Westeros. It's legal. Accepted. Not even unusual. The lords want victory, want peace, want their families back. If we can give them that, they won't care about the details. Lyra moved closer. Rob, I'm not asking you to give up your crown, not asking you to kneel. I'm asking you to stand beside me, to fight beside me, to help me take what's mine while protecting what's yours. Can you do that? Rob was quiet for a long time. Then, yes. If it ends the war, if it saves Sansa, if it gives the North what it's fought for, yes. I'll marry you, I'll fight beside you, he smiled. Tired. I'll be your king consort, or whatever the title is when a queen marries a king. We'll figure out the titles later. Lyra held out her hand. For now, allies. All allies. Rob took her hand, shook it, then pulled her into an embrace. I've missed you. Missed having someone I could trust completely. Someone who knew me before I was a king. I'm still here, still the same person, just with more complications. Aren't we all? They separated. Rob called the lords back, stood before them with Lyra at his side. My lords, I have an announcement. Lyra Snow, Ned Stark's daughter, is not who we thought. She's Lyanna Stark's daughter. Born at the Tower of Joy, fathered by Rhaegar Targaryen, the legitimate heir to the Iron Throne. The hall erupted. Shouts, accusations, demands for proof. Rob raised his hand. I have proof. Lady Catelyn has confirmed it. Lord Howland Reed, the only living witness besides Ned, has sworn to it. And more than that, Lyra herself is proof. Look at her. She has the Stark look, Lyanna's face. And she's willing to fight, to claim what's hers, to end this war. By putting a Targaryen back on the throne, Lord Greatjon Umber's voice boomed. We crowned you to be free of Southern kings, not to trade one for another. And you'll stay free. Rob's voice was firm. Lyra and I have negotiated. The North remains independent. I remain king in the North. But we fight together, united against the Lannisters. And when it's over, when we've won, we'll formalize it. Through marriage, through alliance. The North and the throne working together but not merged. Separate kingdoms, separate rules. But family. A marriage alliance? Lord Roose Bolton's voice was quiet, calculating. Between the king in the North and the Targaryen pretender? That's unusual. It's necessary, Lyra said. She stepped forward. My lords, I understand your hesitation. The Targaryens hurt the North, killed Starks, started wars. But I'm not my grandfather, not the Mad King. I'm Lyanna's daughter. Ned Stark raised me. Northern blood flows in my veins just as much as Targaryen. And I don't want to conquer the North. Don't want to force you into anything. I just want to end the war, to save my sisters, to bring peace. Help me do that. Fight beside me. And I swear, on my mother's grave, on Ned Stark's memory, I will never try to control you, never try to take your freedom. You'll have your independence. Forever. Argued. Some looked convinced, others skeptical, but none outright refused. Finally, the Greatjon spoke. If we fight for you, if we help you take the throne, what do we get? Besides independence we've already claimed? Justice. Lyra's voice was hard. Joffrey executed Ned Stark, murdered the most honorable man in the Seven Kingdoms. I'll execute him in return. Publicly, and everyone who helped. Everyone who stood by. They'll all pay. The Lannisters. The Freys if they betray us. Everyone. The North will have its vengeance. That's my promise. That's a bargain I can accept. I'll fight for you, girl. I'll bend my knee. Not as subject, but as ally, as friend to the North's king and queen. One by one, the other lords agreed. Some enthusiastically, some reluctantly. But they agreed. The North would fight for Lyra, would help her claim the throne, would stand beside her against the Lannisters, and in exchange, freedom, independence. Everything they'd been fighting for. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough. The war that followed was brutal. Lyra and Robb combined their forces, 20,000 Northerners, 10,000 Riverlanders. They marched on the Westerlands, burned Lannister lands, destroyed their gold mines, struck at Tywin's wealth directly. The Lannisters retaliated, sent Gregor Clegane, Amory Lorch, every monster they had. But the North fought back harder, fiercer, led by a king who'd never lost a battle and a queen who had everything to prove. Meanwhile, Lyra worked on alliances, sent ravens to every corner of the realm, to Dorne, offering justice for Elia and her children, to the Vale, reminding them that Lyanna's son was Arryn blood too through Ned, to the Reach, offering peace and prosperity instead of endless war. Some responded, some didn't, but enough did, enough to matter. Stannis Baratheon was the surprise. He'd been fighting his own war, claiming the throne through law, through being Robert's legitimate heir. But when he heard about Lyra, when his advisors told him a Targaryen was claiming with better legal standing, he came to negotiate. They met at Storm's End, in neutral territory, Stannis with his forces, Lyra with hers. "You're Rhaegar's daughter." Stannis's voice was flat, emotionless. "I saw him at tournaments. You have his look. Around the eyes, I have Lyanna's look more. But yes, I'm his daughter, and you claim the throne through him. I claim the throne through law, through legitimacy, through being the rightful heir. Robert won the throne through conquest, through right of rebellion against the Mad King. That makes his line legitimate. With the revelation that none of his supposed children are his, the Baratheon line through Robert is extinct. Your claim comes through being his brother, but my claim comes through being the rightful heir of the dynasty Robert overthrew. Which is stronger legally, usurpation or inheritance?" Stannis was silent. "Then, you're right. Legally, by every precedent and law, you have the stronger claim, but I have the army, the fleet, the power to take what I claim regardless of law. Add another faction to this war, kill more people, burn more lands, and for what? So you can sit in iron chair and rule a broken kingdom. Or," Lyra leaned forward, "or you could support me, recognize my claim, and in exchange I'll make you my hand, my primary advisor, the man who helps me rebuild what's been destroyed. You wanted to be king because you believe in duty, in law, in doing what's right. Help me do that. Help me end this war. That's duty, that's honor. That's what Robert would have wanted. Don't tell me what Robert wanted. You didn't know him." "No, but Ned did. And Ned served Robert loyally for 15 years despite understanding, that Robert's rebellion was based on a lie, that Lyanna chose Rhaegar, that I existed. Ned served because Robert was his friend, because duty demanded it. I'm asking you to do the same, to serve because it's right, because the realm needs stability, because law matters." Stannis studied her. "Then, you're clever, more clever than I expected, and you're right. About the law, about duty, about..." He stopped. "I'll support you, not as a subject. As an ally, I'll recognize your claim. I'll fight beside you. And when you take the throne, when you've proven yourself, I'll serve as hand. If you'll have me, I'll have you. Gladly. The realm needs men like you. Men who care about law more than power. Starting with an end to this war. Then help me end it." They shook hands. Stannis Baratheon, the man with the strongest military claim to the throne, bent his knee to Lyra Targaryen, recognized her as the rightful queen, and brought his forces to her cause. The tide turned. The final battle came at King's Landing. Lyra's forces surrounded the city. Northerners, Stormlanders, Riverlanders, even some Dornish who'd come for revenge. 50,000 soldiers, the largest army seen since Aegon's conquest. Inside the city, the Lannisters, Joffrey on the throne, Cersei as Queen Regent, Tywin commanding the defense. They had 30,000 soldiers, the walls, the gold cloaks, home advantage. But they didn't have legitimacy, didn't have the people's love, didn't have anything except fear and gold and fading power. Lyra stood before the gates, Robb beside her, Stannis on her other side, looking up at the walls where Joffrey stood watching. "Joffrey Baratheon," Lyra's voice carried across the field, magically amplified by something. Later, she'd realize it was her own power, her Targaryen blood manifesting, so everyone could hear. "You sit a throne that isn't yours. You murdered Eddard Stark. You've terrorized this city. You've dishonored everything kingship should be. Surrender now, face justice, and I'll be merciful." "Merciful?" Joffrey's voice was shrill, young, scared despite his bravado. "You're a traitor, a Targaryen whore, and I'll have your head on a spike beside your precious Ned Stark's. Then you'll die." Lyra drew her sword. Simple steel. Not Valyrian, but good enough. I am Lyra Targaryen, first of my name, daughter of Rhaegar and Lyanna, rightful queen of the Seven Kingdoms, and I claim what's mine, by law, by blood, by right. Open the gates, or I'll break them down. Break them then. The gates stayed closed. The walls stayed manned. The Lannisters chose to fight. So Lyra gave the order. Take the city, but spare the small folk. Spare anyone who surrenders. This is about justice, not slaughter. Understand. The army moved. Siege towers, battering rams, soldiers climbing walls. It was brutal. Bloody, desperate fighting in streets and on battlements. But the people of King's Landing, the commons who'd suffered under Joffrey's rule, they opened gates from inside, let the army in, guided them to weak points, helped because they wanted the Lannisters gone. By nightfall, the city had fallen. Joffrey fled to the Red Keep, barricaded himself in the throne room, Cersei beside him, a handful of Kingsguard. That was all that remained. Lyra entered the throne room at midnight. Alone. Robb had wanted to come. Stannis had insisted. But this was hers. The Iron Throne sat before her. Massive, asymmetric, made from the swords of Aegon's enemies. The symbol of everything her family had built. Everything they'd lost. Everything she was about to reclaim. Joffrey sat on it, small, young, terrified, trying to look brave. Get out, he said. His voice shook. This is my throne, my kingdom. You can't. I already have. Lyra climbed the steps. It's over, Joffrey. The city's taken. Your armies have surrendered. Even your Kingsguard have abandoned you. It's just you and me, and the throne that was always mine. The Mad King, your grandfather, he burned people alive. He was insane, evil. Why should anyone trust you? Because I'm not him. I'm my mother's daughter, Lyanna Stark, who died fighting for love, and my father Rhaegar, who dreamed of prophecy and songs. I'm the best of both of them, and I'll prove it. By being the queen this realm deserves. By bringing peace, justice, honor. You killed thousands taking this city. Your mother killed thousands keeping it. Your false rule killed Ned Stark. Killed innocence. Killed hope. I'm just ending what you started. Joffrey lunged, drew a hidden knife, tried to stab her. Lyra moved, faster than thought, grabbed his wrist, twisted. The knife clattered to the floor. She threw him down. He sprawled at the base of the throne. You had a choice, Lyra said quietly. Surrender. Face justice. Live in exile. I would have given you that, for Sansa's sake if nothing else. But you chose violence, chose cruelty, chose to be exactly what everyone feared. She drew her sword. Joffrey screamed, begged, pleaded. It didn't matter. The blade fell. Joffrey Baratheon died at the base of the Iron Throne, executed by the rightful queen, by Lyanna's daughter, by the girl who'd been hidden for 15 years and had finally come home. Cersei watched from the shadows, silent, defeated. When Stannis' men came for her later, she went without resistance. Broken. Everything she'd schemed for, everything she'd killed for, gone. Lyra stood alone in the throne room, looked up at the Iron Throne, at the symbol of power and pain and everything her family had been. Then she climbed it, sat, felt the uncomfortable metal beneath her, the way the blades pressed into her back, the deliberate discomfort Aegon had designed so kings would never sit easy. This was hers now, the throne, the crown, the realm, all of it, and God's help her, she'd try to deserve it. Lyra Targaryen was crowned 3 months later. The ceremony took place in the ruins of the great sept of Baelor, the same place where Ned Stark had been executed, where everything had begun to fall apart. Now it was being rebuilt, piece by piece, stone by stone, a symbol of renewal, of hope. Lyra wore a simple crown, bronze and iron like Robb's, not the elaborate Targaryen crown of old, something northern, something that honored both her bloodlines. The High Septon placed it on her head. I crown you, Lyra Targaryen, first of her name, Queen of the Andals, the Rhoynar, and the First Men, Lady of the 6 Kingdoms, Protector of the Realm. 6 kingdoms, not 7. The North had kept its independence. Robb ruled there as king in the North. Ally, friend, soon-to-be husband. They'd marry in a month. A northern ceremony and a southern one, binding the realms without merging them. 2 crowns, 2 kingdoms, one family. Sansa had been rescued, released from the dungeons where Cersei had kept her. She was damaged, traumatized, but alive. And slowly, with Lyra's help, with Arya who'd been found hiding in Flea Bottom, slowly healing. Arya had taken to Lyra immediately, had recognized a kindred spirit. Another girl who didn't fit the mold, who fought instead of sewed, who chose her own path. Bran and Rickon remained at Winterfell, safe, protected, growing up in a north that was free and proud and independent. Stannis served his hand, grumbling, efficient, rebuilding the bureaucracy the war had destroyed. He didn't smile, didn't celebrate. But he served, and he served well. The lords of the realm bent the knee, some willingly, some forced. The Tyrells through negotiation, the Martells through justice. Lyra had publicly condemned Robert's actions, acknowledged Elya's murder, and promised reform. The Vale through their connection to Jon Arryn and Lysa. The Stormlands through Stannis. The Lannisters fell last. Tywin fled to Casterly Rock after the city's fall, refused to acknowledge Lyra's rule, plotted from his castle. But 3 years into Lyra's reign, his own son ended him. Tyrion Lannister, the dwarf Tywin had despised his entire life, poisoned the old lion in his sleep. Them came to King's Landing, bent the knee, offered his service. Lyra made him master of coin. He served brilliantly for 20 years. The West bent the knee after Tywin's death, the last resistance broken, the realm, finally, at peace. Lyra stood on the balcony of the Red Keep, looking over King's Landing. The city was scarred, burned, but recovering. Markets opening, people returning, life continuing despite everything. Robb joined her. He'd come south for the wedding planning, for the negotiations that would formally establish the North-South alliance. Having second thoughts? He asked. About which part? The crown? The marriage? The impossible task of ruling 6 kingdoms? Any of it? No. Lyra smiled. No second thoughts. This is what I was born for, what my parents died for, what Ned sacrificed everything to protect. I'm going to do it right. Going to be the queen the realm deserves, even if it kills me. Try not to let it kill you. I'm rather fond of you alive. I'll do my best. They stood in comfortable silence. 2 people who'd grown up together, who'd become something more through necessity and choice, who would rule their separate kingdoms, but always, always be family. The sun set over King's Landing, painting the sky red and gold. The colors of both their houses, Targaryen and Stark, fire and ice, dragon and wolf, together. As it should be, Lyra Targaryen ruled for 40 years. Her marriage to Robb remained political, unconsummated, more alliance than romance. He took another wife in the north, had children. Heirs to continue the Stark line as kings in the north. Lyra never married again, never bore children. But she named Robb's daughter, a girl with stark gray eyes and a gift for diplomacy, as her heir. United the bloodlines through choice rather than birth. Ensured that when she died, the North and South would merge peacefully, voluntarily. 2 kingdoms becoming one again, but this time through love rather than conquest. The realm remembered her as Lyra the Just, the queen who ended the War of 5 Kings, who brought peace after chaos, who proved that Targaryens could rule with wisdom instead of madness, with justice instead of fire. She died in her sleep at 54, peaceful, surrounded by the Stark children she'd helped raise, by Sansa, who'd become her closest advisor, by Arya, who'd traveled the world and always returned home, by Bran and Rickon, who'd grown into men she was proud to call brothers. They buried her at Winterfell, not in the Red Keep, not in some grand sept, in the crypts, beside Ned Stark, beside Lyanna, beside the family who'd loved her, protected her, given her the chance to be more than just a hidden secret. The statue they carved showed a woman in simple clothes, no crown, no regalia, just Lyra, with a sword in one hand and a book in the other, warrior and scholar, queen and sister, everything she'd been. And on the base, they carved one line, Lyra Targaryen, daughter of Lyanna, daughter of the North. She was enough. In the songs, they remembered her differently, added details, made her larger than life, gave her dragon dreams and prophetic visions, said she could make wildfire turn to water with a touch, that she'd fought Jaime Lannister in single combat and won. Most of it was false, exaggeration, legend replacing truth. But one part they got right. She'd been a girl who everyone said couldn't matter. Bastard. Hidden. Irrelevant. A pawn in games played by greater powers. And she'd become a queen. Not through birthright alone, not through conquest alone. Through choice. Through sacrifice. Through being exactly who the realm needed when it needed her most. Fire and ice. Dragon and Stark. She'd been all of it. And in being all of it, she'd saved everything. That was enough. That was more than enough. That was everything. Let us know what you'd like to see next. The end.